OWCS 2024 has concluded with a final 8-team international event at DreamHack Stockholm, and it was definitely a way to end the year. Some teams gave into the hard meta, while others superseded it with their own style of play. Some regions dominated with a launch Brigida ferocity, while others frauded out harder than the Curum suspect test. And of course, this was potentially the last time we ever see Toronto Defiant, NRG Shock, Smurf, and probably even more entities. The first round of games were only first to 2 because of time constraints, but don't let this fool you. Some of these matches were the best in the entire tournament. Starting off with Team Falcons against Twisted Minds, and the expectations for these teams could not be more different. If Falcons didn't win it all, their season was a failure, whereas Twisted Minds were just happy to be here. So everyone was fully prepared for the 96 Bulls to pull up to middle school intramurals and call it a day. However, in the opening map, we got the Zhejiang Golden Bulls instead. On frame 1, Smurf runs it down, stomps nobody, and falls over while his team is on an entirely different campus. And I mean, that's kind of whatever. It's the first fight of the day, and Smurf's multivitamin hasn't kicked in yet, so I get it. Plus, TM later used 5 ults to 2 for a fight win, all but guaranteeing they'd be trapped in the ult cycle vortex and lose the round. Fielder even went to Baptiste to deal with the Lambda on Farah, but somehow he forgot which character he was on. Oh, bro thought he still had the personal shield. Why is my Baptiste leading the charge on some "my soldiers scream" type behavior? Like, hello? Get in the back line, dog. From there, Falcons tried to reverse onto the TM front line, leaving Chio behind and gifting Twisted Minds not only a free fight win, but also a stimulus check for their alt economy, which gave them the round 1 win. And when you're playing against Twisted Minds, you cannot afford to give a free round, because Quartz is always good for one on his own. In round 2, this demon opened 4 out of 6 fights with a pick. Falcons were simply fighting a 4v5 66% of the time. I know that Falcons are a well-oiled machine, but I don't care if you're running on peanut oil. If you're missing 20% of the build, you ain't doing shit. On map 2, Hanbin came in to relieve Smurf of his duties, and he also ran it down frame 1. But the difference is he did it with purpose, isolating TVNT and creating space for Falcons' more close quarters DPS picks to cook. This map in general was quite tough for the TM style of play. Even when Lambda had plenty of room to maneuver in the sky, in the open air, away from any walls or roofs, he was still trapped in a cage, despite being on the outside of it. Hanbin's ults are so good, they work on people he did not hit. But as we know, Quartz is always good for his 1 point. And he caught Chio trying to walk in a straight line like he's about to nail a sobriety test. Bro was jumping for joy at the prospect of launching his point clinching orbital ray on the objective. Unfortunately, Quartz's 1 is all they got, as basically every other fight win came from TM clicking all of their buttons at the same time. By the end, that wasn't an option. Their Q pressing synergy was out of whack because TVNT's foot slipped, and they had no choice but to go on to map 3. This time, instead of getting around the Quartz problem through smart team play, Stalker confronted him head on in the Widow duel. Initially, there was a bit of a warm-up phase because his grapple was not up to code. Bro is doing subliminal advertising for Vans the way he went off the wall. After returning from spawn, his grapple was working as intended, and Stalker wasted no time getting active. Except Quartz had already completed his midday run around the neighborhood. What is this freaky ass flank, bruh? He's legit waiting in a dark alley for Stalker to walk by. He is stalking Stalker. No, this is too crazy. Bro is straight tweaking on them Swedish substances. We got some crazy schizo aiming going on. And besides that, he started Widowmaker, switched to Cassidy only to build 60% ult, then went back to Widow for a cheeky pick. Following that, he went down to Sojourn, built an entire rail on proper to shut down his blade, which led to capping the point before ultimately returning to Widowmaker. Whereas Stalker, it's like he was chilling in an ice bath with a water temperature of a quotidian 1 degree Celsius. Yet bro was still on fire. What started as an even duel quickly snowballed into Stalker's highlight reel. And once the second round hit, Quartz had no fight left. so Stalker let the rest of Falcons finish them off. Their arrival may have been delayed, but the 96 Bulls had finally made it to the lobby. Proper cooked up a 4K, and Hanbin took this opportunity to escape from MAGA prison, whipping out the Queen and setting the bar for what a real rampage looks like. But this wasn't the only big rampage of the day. During Crazy Raccoon vs NRG Shock, NRG's first fight win came off the back of a massive Kellen rampage. Unfortunately, it also took place on the very last point of the series, and you can tell Crazy Raccoon genuinely wanted the complete shutout. Lip hit the 1v4 Death Blossom to try and clutch up, and while NRG might have lost 12 fights in a row, they were not about to lose 13, no sir. They were, however, chill with Lip just walking out of there with his life, despite blatantly trying to disrespect them with that whack-ass Blossom. Bro must have had somewhere to be. He wanted to get out of there with the swiftness, and I get it. They were dominating so hard, he's saying gameplay looked like something you'd see on a trailer introducing a new hero. He's genuinely flying around, dismantling an entire team with ease. Thank you, he's saying, for making the total duration of this match take less time than a full episode of television. If you pulled up TikTok for 1 second and went down a young Sheldon rabbit hole, the match would already be done. He's saying is just too efficient. He's using every single health point he has available. Anyway, that's enough of Crazy Raccoon saying it's too easy as Shu tries to sleep his demons and Junbin slams absolutely no one. We're moving on to a real matchup. Space Station Gaming versus Nightmare. SSG were expected to be a very competitive team by Western standards. I mean, they won their prior tournament while utilizing MAGA before anyone else had him on their radar. However, Nightmare were fresh off an exciting stage of their own, and Streets were saying that they had that dog in them. But I don't care how well you think you know the streets. Not even Google Maps was prepared for Nightmare to roll through Oasis, averaging 1 fight lost per round. Nightmare were dialed in, and they didn't care that SSG made it onto the MAGA comp first. Infected was curb stomping the backline every fight like a middle-aged white woman fighting for Black Friday sales in the late 2000s. On top of that, the synergy was there to seamlessly follow up on every engagement, making most fights feel like a 5v4, leading to a complete violation of Chris Theory. Map 2 didn't start off much better. It took 2 minutes for SSG to get through the beginning half of first point, and to do it, they threw 4 ults out the window in a fight where Nightmare only used 2. SSG had no illusions about the situation. They knew they were cooked in the next fight, so they pulled out one of the most devious rotations I have ever seen. It starts with Hottie hitting an agency dodge on Infected's cage, and Funny Astro escaping through the back rooms at 9 HP. You can see the confusion through his gameplay. Why didn't Seeker finish the job? Nightmare wanted Landon dead so bad, bro turned around to shoot at his ghost. With what's left of the SSG gang regrouped, Zira gets scared and duplicates for no reason. SSG watched a second MAGA appear on their screen, and they said, fuck that dog, we're going sightseeing. Bro straight up did a lap around the point. This maneuver gave them more time in the final fight, better angles to start the fight, and somehow traded out ults 3-1 to even up the economy. Not even Spilo could draw up a better play than that with his little scribbles on the screen. It saved their offense because they won the neutral fight and kept it pushing all the way to third for a light to decent 7 out of 10 finish. Like, it's around the final corner, but it's not quite far enough to call it the end of the map. After this incredible economic miracle in the first round, SSG go off and fuck it up beyond repair in round 2. Now, their first point defense was awful. Nightmare has 5 minutes on the clock going into second because SSG had no way to match CJ's Ray. But now they've built up their resources and it's time to fight back. So they go 4 for 1 in ults to hold their ground. People have genuinely been robbed and came out with a better deal than what SSG just agreed upon. They basically forfeited the next 3 fights right there. Nightmare now had over 3.5 minutes to win 1 fight and close out the series. SSG knew they needed to be perfect. They were trying to be frugal as hell, using every coupon code they could get their hands on, but oh god no, they're using Honey! They're not getting the best deals available! No! Okay, but for real, this was a disgusting combo from Nightmare. CJ's Juno Ball hasn't even hit Psycho yet, and Zera is already on go. He got that 0 ping Neuralink information exchange. And just like that, they got a free ult out of him. The streets were wrong about Nightmare. They ain't just got that dog in them. They have something far more sinister, like the Wish version of the Dallas Fuel hive mind microchip embedded into their brain stems. And even though they didn't win the fight off this, they had no intentions from the beginning. Infected dropped his cage and SSG lost the plot. Sir, a second 4-for-1 ult trade has hit the SSG economy. And just like that, SSG went out of winner's bracket looking quite sad, while Nightmare poised themselves to be a real threat. Which brings us to the final match of winners round 1, Toronto Defiant versus ENCE. And while these round percentages make the first map look kinda close, it did not feel like that whatsoever. Toronto were using all the time they had available to slow cook up a delectable meal. Things only got slightly shiced when Toronto tried to close out the map. On their first attempt, Merit failed to look both ways before TPing into oncoming traffic and promptly getting his Blossom cancelled. On their second go, Toronto were pushing their advantage and it looked Jover for ENCE. Someone thought it was so one that he went for a victory lap, but when he came out of the tunnel, his whole squad was gone. There was no one left to celebrate with. Toronto overstepped, and ENCE flipped the fight like a King Gambit turning into a bird type, with Merit once again getting no value out of his Blossom. But one man was not about to let Toronto choke on dicks 3 times in a row, and his name is Sugar Brawn. Bro came out of spawn suited up on the Pharah, ready to take care of business. He was not playing around either. Hit this clean ass fadeaway and didn't think twice. Lenny had to get this casual 4K, but finally, the Defiant were up 1-0, and they kept it pushing into Shambali, or rather, they stopped it from pushing because they started on defense. It was a similar story to last map, except this time there was no indication that it was close. ENCE got towards the end of second, but Toronto was in firm control of the situation. That is, until it was time to finish them off. I don't know what it is, but Toronto might be the GOAT at dominating their opposition until they actually need to secure the win. You mean to tell me they did all that to lose 3 fights in a row and go to overtime on their first point offense? I understand that Shambali's a tough map. You know what? I've been full held myself. But this is a bit crazy. They're just lucky as hell that individually Defiant players know how to clutch up. Just peep Vigwayne Wade hitting the Goob 4-man stun and setting up Sugar Brawn for the oop. It's absolutely disgusting work being done here. It's everywhere. The stun. It's hit everywhere. After this, surely Toronto were home free, right? Hell nah. ENCE won the next fight and started a dangerous spawn camp. And if Kevster hadn't tried to maintain it at all costs and used duplicate in a lost fight, there's a decent chance ENCE would have been able to hold them off. But instead, Toronto were able to overwhelm ENCE with an additional Reaper and successfully close out the series, marking the end of the first to 2s in the tournament. At this time, I ask you to consider subscribing to the Tommathan YouTube channel. I was the first line of defense against Violet's ancient paradox form, Soaring AJAX. But with the recent sound barrier buffs, he grew far more powerful than ever before and broke free of his shackles. So I need your support to help track down this demon and lock him up before he terrorizes more lobbies across the land. Thank you. The first matches of the lower bracket took place later on day 1, which might explain why in the opening round between Space Station and Twisted Minds, SSG as a team were not fully there. Backbone starts off by TPing onto point and dying with Wraith up. Then once he comes back, Funny Astro is so pissed he doesn't want to look at him. Jetlag got bros acting like Boblo support players who get mad at you just for pinging that you need some heals. This gameplay is talking to me right now and it's saying, go get a health pack. Like what? Backbone has Court staring him down like he's reaching for the last exclusive cologne on the shelf. Give my guy some healing. Fortunately, that was the warm-up round, and you're supposed to lose those. Afterwards, SSG dialed in for the rest of the map, with Psycho in particular having multiple, huge duplicate fights, perhaps showing off why the TM composition might not be the one. Oh, and also, how the fuck did Lambda die to Maga Stomp twice in a single round? You are literally a bird. You're a bird. Fly away. And then he flew all the way to King's Row, where SSG rolled over like a dog looking for belly rubs. Backbone's Sniper Reaper strategy removed. TVNT's hands exchanged for space and payload progress. TVNT's feet firmly planted in the backline, pressuring space station supports, so Hottie gets no type of healing and falls over. Landon's Baptiste counterswap to Pharah, not very effective, especially when you put window on the payload. All of this added up to a 3-minute map completion from Twisted Minds, and it somehow only took 3 fight wins total. The efficiency is simply unmatched. In retaliation, SSG pulled a similar maneuver with different plot devices. Personally, my favorite arc was TVNT holding the corner. SSG were so quick to give up, then courageously stepping into the ring against a Reaper BAP tag team. It was a difficult battle, but our protagonist found a way to persevere. And after coming out on top, he makes the return back to his team, only to die to Hottie applying burn tick damage from Spawn. Oh my god. Bliss went to heal him, and Lambda's fat ass ate 2 break packs. Oh my god. Now, TM did manage to sneak in a Quartz filler arc just to spice things up. You know, he had to kill 3 for the fans, make sure SSG ain't copy the time bank bar for bar. One thing's for sure though, they wasted no time returning to the main plot, even ended the round with a cage in the exact same location. And SSG are not mad about having less time on the clock, cause it means they can carry this momentum directly into extra rounds. Sometimes you gotta lose a little to win a lot. And with this mindset, SSG found themselves set up for success. They had a golden situation. If Hottie caged Bliss, Backbone could not be stunned out of Blossom, and this push would get out of control. They just had to wait for their opportunity to execute, and Backbone spinning out like he trying to clear hazards. But Quartz got his weave game on 100. He U-turned out of there, so Backbone was fighting a ghost. SSG's push might have died right there, but they managed to get the cap on second before the end of it, putting themselves in a very winnable position. Although Twisted Minds didn't have the Jomentum on their side, they used the extra time to build ults before Quartz found a goated Bob flank to get a high value fight win. And bro knew he cooked with this one, started posing up for the Grim. Sadly, this TM economic boom wasn't meant to last. As soon as SSG saw the orbital ray come down, they said, okay, we'll take next fight with the 4v2 ult advantage, that's completely fine with us, and rolled over. To start off, Backbone TPs deep onto no one in particular, gets his Wraith forced, runs away from civilization before coming back and getting his Blossom cancelled. Bro trying to go end to end like he's prime Eric Carlson. No bruh, just put the fries in the bag, just put the Blossom in the cage. To make matters worse, he killed absolutely 0 people and died with Wraith up. With Psycho dying early and Backbone doing some interpretive art, SSG got 2 kills from 4 ults, and they both came from Landon. It shaked out to be TVNT and his supports against Hottie, Backbone, and Funny Astro, who had the Goob aerial support with his UAV positioning. And I feel like SSG should somehow still be in a winning position, even after pressing 4 Qs at once and fumbling almost all of them. You're expecting the Reaper and Mario to find a kill somewhere, but it just doesn't happen. And this whole thing makes Backbone dying with his Wraith up somehow like the worst part of that entire incident. Funny Astro's doing all he can, but this stalemate goes on for so long that eventually Twisted Minds people get him. SSG by all accounts should have won this map, but it doesn't matter what the deserve to win-o-meter says, Twisted Minds evened up the series. From here, SSG crashed out. On Shambali, they got spawn camped for 2 minutes straight, and then in overtime, they tried to do a crazy double map flip where they left Funny Astro dead chillin' in Nom. And don't even get me started about Jamie, man. His name might be Backbone, but nobody's gonna throw him one. Lambda captured his entire journey through the backline from a bird's eye view to let us get a cinematic angle of yet another failed Blossom. On the defense, he decided he had enough of this nonsense and swapped to Soj, but he still got put on a shirt instantly. He had no chance with this nasty team up. Lambda hit him with the boop direct combo, and Quartz was right there for the finisher. In this final map, you know SSG are getting mad philosophical, thinking about the reality where they 3-0 Twisted in the final EMEA tournament, and how they'd be playing a whole other team if they did. Now they're out here tweaking against against an off-meta team, well, they were supposed to be the GOATs at Maga, the pioneers of Maga. They're at a state where Hottie's trying to beat TVNT by going ass for ass on cages. Bro locked himself up for no reason. At least TVNT's is on point. Like, what is this? Just like that, Space Station was the first team out of the bracket. And the biggest surprise here is that it's not like Quartz had an all-star performance. He played well for sure, and I mean, this is a clip where he killed 5 in a single fight. But Twisted Minds were the better all-around team, or at the very least, the team that didn't mentally implode on that day. These guys were expected to be mollywopped and put on a flight home. Instead, they're out here taking maps off Korean teams and upsetting series while saying, fuck it, we ball, run it. With that, we go on to Europe's last hope and squaring up to NRG Shock. This was NRG's first real game of the tournament, because I cannot in good faith call their previous beatdown at the hands of Crazy Raccoon a competitive Overwatch match. The key difference here though is that just before this game, GNX dropped, so NRG were freshly equipped with the Kendrick buff. We found out rather quickly that ENCE were not built for this. Kellen with the Kenny buff was a demon. Mans was out here using Rampage as a movement ability. Bro didn't care if he hit 3 people or 0. He's just doing it for the love of the game. ENCE thought they were safe when they looked around and saw the only thing Kellen made purple was the air molecules, but they weren't familiar with his game. Bro was still good for 2 at least, and this is what true locked in this looks like, because he was trying to get active at all costs. You might be thinking, damn, he should have hit that though. No, bruh, he knows exactly where he wants to be. You would have fallen victim just like ENCE. Then bang, right when they least expect it, Sneak Nation pulls through. Gotta keep them on their toes, bruh. Caught him lacking and being too focused on Kellen to identify the real big threat. NRG limited ENCE to a single point capture in this 3-0 thrashing. And the way they did it is crazy, scary, spooky, and hilarious. It starts with UV misclicking his ult, and the Shock scramble to find any sort of value from it, but it's just too ass. There's still hope though, because Kellen is here to run it down as soon as Sky activates his Ray, and he gets his first. Meanwhile, Kai is pulled up without a care in the world. He tells Tree to keep the change and turns for a disgusting flick onto Rack. I still don't know how he hit this. Then Scissors is there to follow up on Tree's parting gift EMP, and with Kellen returning to help out and get his as advertised second kill post Rampage, it breaks down into the man who started it all. Ultraviolet, left alone on the point against Sky Reaper and Vestola. Somehow, he pulls off this illegal ass play, trading out Sky and living long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Be careful of who you make fun of in the spawn room. By hitting the nerd swap of the century, Rack and Tree zoom over. UV gets Brig healing, so they make it on before he dies, and they clutch up. It's cinema. Absolute cinema. It's crazy to me how Europe as a region frauded out on home turf and got schmixed on day 1, while the 2 bottom seeded teams playing off meta at that kept it pushing. The second day started in the winner's bracket with Team Falcons versus Nightmare. And I'll tell you right now, Nightmare played a good game, but it's the same kind of good game that your little cousin has when they take a stock on you in Smash Bros. Anytime Nightmare had a genuine advantage, Falcons would lean forward in their chair and that shit vanished. It's like Krusty had a Dr. Doofenshmirtz plugged into every PC at the venue. Bro was in the mainframe downloading the Nightmare playbook. For instance, when Infected tried to push with Cage, Bro got schooled so hard he had Algebra 2 flashbacks. Fielder was fully prepared to ruin his day with a stun cancel or a whip shot. Like, just let Bro breathe. He did this shit back to back. And if you want to see just how Falcons be moving different once Lil Bros start putting up a fight, look no further. Nightmare had worked hard to gain an ult advantage and stabilize their position. But even with his whole squad dead, Hanbin said there would be no free eats under his watch. That Twisted Minds game from earlier must have made them rethink their position in the universe, cause he came out of nowhere, Tokyo drifting around the corner to hit this clutch. Hanbin has accomplished the previously thought impossible task of providing any amount of aura to Maga gameplay. And this isn't the end of the lengths that Falcons are willing to go to in order to squash any hope hopes or dreams. Unreasonable triumphs and hacking into the Nightmare playbook is just the tip of the iceberg. What looks like a normal blade from Proper on the surface was actually an ancient technique to get a passive damage boost and break the game. Seeker took 300 damage in a single ray boosted slash dash combo. You might think that sounds about right, but no bruh, the math is not mathing. I scoured the lobby for anything else it could have been, but nothing else hit him. I also noticed that neither of the two Magas on his team pressed E. In conclusion, Proper is that guy and is not bound by the confines of the game. Okay, well, that still might be true, but the real cause of this, according to the Marbler Discord, was some Juno bug that can make the damage boost stack an infinite amount of times. So like, this Stormhammer, I don't know, man. Proper wanted him dead. When you look at everything that Falcons did to make sure Nightmare was never taking a map, I low-key understand why even in a seemingly unlosable situation, they folded under zero pressure. To complete the map, Nightmare were up 3.5 ults to 0.5, and it looks like they deadass 3, 2, 1 counted down their support ults, so they both got kited. Then, as Falcons turned the corner to contest, Seeker's thinking about how Hanbin can 1v9 and Proper can manipulate space-time, so he clears the area of his demons. If you see them hit the "don't come any closer" ass Death Blossom, the game's already been won. Luckily, the other winner's semifinal had no funny business involved, just a Jake Paul vs Mike Tyson level beatdown from Crazy Raccoon. The Defiant got kicked from their own map selection in less than 5 minutes. They spent more time between maps than actually playing Hanaoka. It doesn't matter that they saved themselves from a 5-0 when Heesang has a 30 final blow per 10 pace. Toronto got more fighting spirit than me, because I would have let him cap so I could get up from my chair, snatch up Kasora's coaching documents, and burn every single page on Flashpoint. Simply go next map and never look at this game mode again. Although it's not like they fared much better anywhere else. Lip was beating their ass so bad, he started RPing as Batman overlooking the city, and Junbin was treating LAN like a ranked lobby. He's rolling around trying to put people in the Taj. Before we go to the Korean banger, we head down to losers for a match many people thought we would never see in our lifetime. Nightmare squaring up against NRG Shock. Immediately, it was once again apparent that much like ENCE, Nightmare had no answer to the Queen comp. While everyone else got infected by the MAGA virus, NRG stayed true to themselves and developed a vaccine in the process. After finding no success playing into the Junkervax Queen for just one round, Nightmare were cured and they swapped over to the Mirror. This was only their first dose, but the quality of life improvement was undeniable. The children were singing in the streets, the birds were chirping, nature was healing, and Zira was tearing up the lobby with multiple Genji 4Ks in the round. There were some slight side effects, but they were clearly advertised beforehand. We saw from Kellen that you gotta know what you're doing with the Rampage. If you haphazardly toss it out there like willy or nilly, bad things are bound to happen. With Nightmare's newfound energy, they juked Kellen and got positioning for the final fight of the round. And even though it was close, they still got it. However, for the final round, that same magic wasn't there. Now that NRG knew what they were up against, they had no trouble handling the situation and got a swift 100-0. Backed into a corner, Nightmare whipped out the Plat 5-stack special, Ryan bashing on the payload. And this guy, UV, full swung with his entire chest. He did not get the memo. He playing with no comms, no monitor, straight Helen Keller on Juno. Again though, once NRG is aware of what they're playing against, they put a stop to it right away. There must be a new Minecraft update that I'm unaware of, because it looks like he has sharpness 3 on scissors the way he's cutting up Nightmare piece by piece. He yoinked Seeker's hero and started wilding out. The no-look fadeaway mortar strike is too filthy. Ew! Oh my god! Oh my god! But there was still hope until this fight right here. And it's the exact moment that you can see all of Nightmare realize that they better head to the nearest airport and skedaddle. It's not cause Tree packed him up. He been doing that. It's cause after Infected hits the backward slam to take care of Kellen, Zero walls off his own guy's window, and Nightmare box themselves like a fish as Rack Attack goes unpunished inside of the entire team. I understand that Ray and Rally is a scary prospect, and that maybe NRG was even favored in the fight. But I can't help but look at this and see nothing other than wallahi, I'm finished. I guess it turns out that trying to mirror match the team running their own unique composition while you yourself have limited experience using it is not a recipe for success. But hey, at least they didn't lose on the Maga. On the other side, we got Toronto Defiant versus Twisted Minds. Y'all just need to peep game and lock in. This series was like an international buffet, because every map had a little something different, and we better eat for real. In map 1, we saw more of Toronto's slow and steady wins the race ass dive comp, where they set up every minute detail to be perfect. Someone is carefully lining up his jumps, and he's over the rooftop. Look at my Winston, dog. Get off the slip and slide. The problem with this strat is that you're low-key playing TM's game of letting Lambda and Quartz cook. Like, look at this, bro. Vega put down his shield and died the very next frame. Quartz gotta be wearing that new Adderall fragrance, because one frame is absurd. The upside of the strat is that Lenny is a master chef with a full pantry of ingredients. He's wielding the Dragon Blade like a frying pan and bouncing back Lambda's own rocket to take him out. When you're as skilled as Lenny, even a whiffed pulse hits. The universe saw that MCD was gonna dodge and corrected itself by sending Bliss to intercept it. Bro really got creative mode spawned in, straight out the inventory. This is legit divine intervention. How did he come directly on top of it? Yo, big pause on that. Hold on. Anyway, map 2 was defined by a Matthews versus Line type sniper duel. The entire game was warped around Quartz. He had Lenny on him 24/7, and Merritt wouldn't be on Widow at all without him in the lobby. Kassors must have read the health and safety manual before the game, because they were taking any and all precautions to avoid getting injured. It's just too bad that it does not matter in the slightest. Lenny followed all rules and regulations on this engagement, and yet he still got goobed so hard he had to switch heroes. This might be the biggest I'm him performance since Zach did 120 juggles in a minute. Some of the things he does are unexplainable, like why doesn't he take the shot on Vega? How does he know Lenny's about to turn the corner? He got spidey senses, or fuck the Batman of Riyadh. Quartz is the Spider-Man of Saudi Arabia, and he does kill. The moment Merritt whiffed his grapple, Quartz had him lined up. I don't know where he gets his information from. It looks like wall hacks. While this was happening, there were a few subplots going on, notably the beginning of the sugar-free anti-air Genji mission. This first duel went to the side of Lambda, as he evaded death by taking an emergency landing and point-blank firing a labillion missiles from behind a shield. Shout out to Bliss for coming through with the insane peel and bashing Lenny before he hit the second most diabolical Uno reverse. God bless this man. The other more episodic plotline was the tank difference. I'm not saying that someone got gapped, just that this Queen ult being used for movement is not the same as Kellen's. While TVNT hit this clean ass flash step to get on top of someone before he could redeem himself with another ult. That play was actually what completed the map for TM. Toronto sat back so they couldn't fight back. It's a stark difference compared to Merritt packing up a 3-piece meal to help Toronto complete the map on their offense with only seconds less than TM did. This means that both teams had roughly a minute for their extra attack, and they had wildly different approaches. Someone tried to put on a TVNT cosplay, and all I gotta say about that is every masterpiece has its cheap copy. You cannot run it down like he can. He was on second point for a long time doing a lot of nothing. I don't see the vision on this one, dog. Twisted Minds went for more of a if it ain't broke, don't break it style of play, allowing Lambda and Quartz to kill him straight up. Don't gotta do all this fancy shit, just shoot the enemy. They'll die. Sure, it did take a minute to find the kills, but they had more than a minute, so the time works out. And that time was probably better spent on the point that they're actually trying to take instead of over a nom. Even in his overtime, someone was still trying to get active on second point. There's nothing there, bro. Why? What are you doing? With the series all tied up, Toronto did what they do best. Take every other Western team to Gibraltar. TM opted for the hide in a small room with May strat, and I can't help but hashtag notice that their designated Mei player was left on the bench. UB was looking on, watching them do this on offense and defense, finding no success both times. My personal favorite part of this map is surprisingly unrelated to the tiny room. When someone pops Primal, every single TM player collectively decides they are not rocking with them. Count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4 ults, all used on someone to do approximately 0 damage. I didn't realize it was that serious. What the fuck did he do to deserve a quadruple zoning ult? This map was a wrap, and now Toronto were on match point with all the momentum, and it carried over handsomely into map 4. Vega continued to have massive rallies and stun more players than Gen 4 Jirachi, while Rupel broke TVNT's most valuable asset, his mind. Nah, I'm just kidding, but he did lose his mind and his ankles on this play. Bro was so confused, he scheduled a psychiatric evaluation and eye test to go along with his physical ankle therapy. And someone was running laps not around Twisted Minds, but literally through them. In doing this, he barely took damage and got out the world's most kiteable orbital ray. It's a damn shame that Vega simply chose not to do that. It doesn't really matter though. All that and more set up Toronto to be ahead by 128.19 meters to 0 with 2 minutes left in the map. That's when TVNT had enough. He heard Merit's OC and ran it down. They finally got some meterage, and in the next fight, they received a beautiful gift from Choke Ronto. Choke won, and I got nothing for Vega, man. Whatever. They just had to wait for 5% more on Rupel's Ray, and then this fight was super free. Instead, they both died before the circle of success could make its way over. Things are getting slightly real now, and with Quartz hitting the Marvel Rivals third-person corner peek to put Toronto down 1 early, suddenly TM are favored to win this fight as well. Toronto take the 4v5 anyway because they've come too far to turn back, and so they run straight into a still angry and probably still confused TVNT. It's a messy skirmish, but at the end of the fight, Big T stands alone on point as the one above all. From our prior experiences, we're familiar with the Toronto choking situation and how there's always a hero in the end. This time, Lenny's looking for aerial revenge with the blade that will pierce the heavens, only to get cucked by an eavesdrop, bro. He lost to a rooftop. There was a clear cut, the angle was good, the sky was blue with no clouds, no wind, but that awning, that's one tough guy to get past. Give that Shingle defensive player of the game right now. He's more than earned it. Meanwhile, Quartz had no clue that a once-in-a-lifetime play happened right above his head. He kept it business as usual, taking out the Toronto deflated with haste and pushing this map to a last fight scenario. Toronto start by having both supports press Q at the same time and directing everything they have into taking out TVNT. But it's not enough. Quartz summons his Trap Bob on the point just as TVNT dies, and he takes out both DPS. Robert lives long enough for Bliss to come back from spawn with Rally, and now Toronto are looking like Igor because they are running out of time. Labda's been putting out that big press the entire time, and Toronto do not have the resources to keep going. It was a slow grind, but Twisted Minds tied up the series after being down 128 meters with 2 minutes to go. And once again, special shout outs to the rooftop for making this whole thing happen. To understand the impact this play had on the world, on the very next map, Rooftop's cousin Cage tried to replicate greatness, but Lenny was not getting fooled twice. Geometry Nation considered it a minor success because it ruined the blade of King Lembron, but he still got 2 kills. Even with this tomfoolery and Merit completely inting the first fight of the game for reasons unknown, Toronto had broken their loss streak and they were not going to turn into the Buffalo Sabres today. But Quartz & Co had no intention of giving up now, and after Rupel died from a football field away, Labda ring around the rosy Toronto to take a point in just 1 fight. That right there is the Quartz difference, and Toronto knew it. So for the rest of the game, they went full Zahir and took away his oxygen. At every opportunity, Toronto gave Twisted no space to work with, and when Quartz did find the time to do something, it either didn't matter if TM won at all because the fight was off or between points, or he was hitting no lookers that are impossible to stop in the first place. Just look at Merritt hold this angle, unflinching as the dynamite sails towards him. He is unwilling to give up a pixel. Chills, just chills. With that pick, Toronto looked to spawn hold and end the series, but one young runner is not about to let that happen. This is what he's trained for, the cross-country marathon to flip the point. Both teams reconvene on the objective, and Sugar Free makes damn sure to take out Lambda, pulls out the blade, and does what he was meant to do on the last map. Send EMEA's last hope out of the fucking tournament. However, there was no time to celebrate. Toronto still had to play their third game of the day. Loser semifinals against NRG Shock. Sugar Bronze started this match exactly where he left off, adding another clip to the Taj. Bro must have a part-time job at Splash Mountain cause he keeps putting people on a shirt. Opening up the first fight of the game with a 4K is a statement, and it says go home, y'all are not built for this. And you know what? NRG got mad. First, Shu V appeared for a fight, which meant every ability was a fight-winning cooldown. If an enemy got hit by a nade, they died. No elaboration needed, no questions asked. Was it enough to overcome the Kellen Ball? Unfortunately not. The good news is he used that disappointment to fuel his Winston gameplay in round 2. He juggled all the way to some Frogger ass positioning. Like, who goes here, bruh? Gotta be at least a 2-star rarity boop location. And you know if Kellen's hype, the whole squad is poppin'. Tree had that Hawkeye vision and sent 2 direct rockets to Lenny's face. Shock were able to tie the map, but it didn't last. Toronto locked into 100-0 round 3. Someone one-upped Kellen, hitting the nastiest juggle of his career. He actually sent Tree downwards and still didn't let him touch the ground. Past here is where the real game begins. To deal with NRG's comp, someone put on the Zarya, and it turns out she's the cure to the Vax Queen. The neutrals were easier, the ult cycle was better, and if you saw Lenny with a bubble on him, it was already too late to start running. You can tell how much someone enjoys the Zarya. He hit the Kobe from downtown, and for a second, Corpo someone was gone, replaced with pure joyous whimsy. It just goes to show there are 2 sides to every document. Sometimes it contains the precise knowledge needed to out off-meta the off-meta team. Other times, Hanaoka. Speaking of, Toronto move on to day 3, where they face the loser of Team Falcons and Crazy Raccoon. We start by literally stepping on shoes. He took a wide angle and exploded instantaneously. With no Juno, Proper was able to shred through the rest of CR with ease. It also doesn't hurt that nobody looked at him. He walked from the enemy backline to the front line and took like 30 damage. After watching just a few lives of the Shuno, you'll find that he's probably in the front line a bit more than he should be. Imagine you're Charon. The highest APM you have in a match is when you're in the spawn room doing this nonsense. And after 27 seconds of playing your heart out, your loving support duo walks into the enemy team at the earliest opportunity. I say all this because I know Chorong patiently waited for his chance to get back at him. So I'm not even mad when multiple maps later he whipshot a Death Blossom at his own teammates. Who deserves it? Like, hello? Chorong basically played a bop it for you in spawn. He's twisting it, pulling it, bopping it, he's doing it all. So to go out there and give him that deplorable effort, shameful. Mind you, Shu was not the root cause of Crazy Raccoon's problems. No matter the game state, Falcons were just a step ahead. Regardless which Falcons player was on Reaper, they were doing unreasonable things. Chio died ages ago. Stalker has no supports in this fight, and he's just walking around killing 4. Do not let Crazy Raccoon run security at any event. They ain't stopping no one. What they're getting away with is genuinely criminal. Proper and Stalker aren't living in the CR backline rent-free. They are going to the CR backline to collect rent. And if they don't pay up, the Falcon thugs will be there outside their home, ready to jump them at a moment's notice. Once you're in their lobby, there is no way out. It's a tough world. Falcon's the only team that will brutally beat you down while performing synchronized dance blossoms, and it's tough, I can't lie. They be doing this so much that I can't tell if it's trolling for the love of the game or a crusty crack pipe genuine strategy. It's happened at least 3 times in this series alone, and hold on, Lip tried to sneak into the gang. He's trying to switch sides. Honestly, if I saw that orbital ray come down on my dead body, I'd try to switch sides too. More than any individual, the alt economics is what really set these teams apart. On one side, yes, Lip killed 4. But as soon as you look at the check marks or the team held tab, there is no joy. Got me feeling like Walter White in the car. Oh, hell no. They took the Christopher 4-for-1 deal. Don't do it. Don't do it. Sometimes it's not so much the trades either. Like on map 3, Crazy Raccoon had a chance to pull off a Twisted Minds type comeback. But instead, Lip tried to party with his demons. Heesang will not spin with him. He's having a tough go of it. What do you want him to do? And in their overtime, the last possible chance to stay in the series, Chio takes out Heesang, who's looking for secrets on the map or something, and then finds the perfect pick to put the nail in the coffin. And so, Team Falcons convincingly advance to Grands, and we get the Toronto Defiant vs Crazy Raccoon rematch in losers finals. This first round might be the weirdest beginning to a top 3 tournament game of all time. Crazy Raccoon got 4 kills total. Toronto's composition put Junbin in the 7th circle of hell. What is he supposed to do? I think he'd get more value AFKing in a corner and typing in all chat, because at least that would make him look somewhere. Perhaps make them take the time to squelch his chat. The craziest thing about these kills is that 3 of them are actually shoes. He was getting that good chip from the back, sitting on his perch, live, laugh, loving on Ana. Crazy Raccoon got 70% off of those 4 kills. Just imagine if they were able to find any more for the rest of the round. Maybe they still felt down from the Falcons game, or maybe there was a Swedish breeze right over their keyboards. But Crazy Raccoon were looking more like a John normal raccoon. Watching Junbin's gameplay thus far, I could believe he is playing with those scrawny ass raccoon hands. No opposable thumbs, taking claw grip to a whole new level. Toronto were looking to take full advantage of the crazy depression. They wanted the win before the rest turns were up, and pushed into their spawn to take a quick map 1. Or rather, that was the plan, but not so sneaky Lip made it to the point and flipped while everyone else was preoccupied. Toronto know he's back there. Bro was shooting at them. But who to send back to stop the flip is something else entirely. Maybe you send the whole backline, but Vega and Rupel were too busy giving Lenny a Krispy Kreme glaze on his blade. So much so that Merit perished all alone. What started as such a promising fight turned into the worst case scenario. The backline was split and needed to return home with no Merit to defend them. And this whole time, Crazy Raccoon were gaining point percentage. Toronto had squandered their chance for a map win, and that's not even the worst part. In the process, they woke up the raccoon, and trust me, he is crazy. You do not want to mess around. Junbin regained full motor function, got out some hand warmers, and went to work. On the final round of the map, the turns fully tabled, and Crazy Raccoon dominated with a 100-0 performance. And Heesang was actually the one thanking Lenny this time, sending a funny little package through space and time directly to his doorstep. From there, Crazy Raccoon controlled the play like Adam Sandler in that one movie with the fuck-ass remote. Toronto got spawn held for over 2 minutes to start Shambali, which at this point low-key feels like the industry standard, so I guess it's not that bad. Everybody and their mama be stuck in that temple, bruh. But the difference is it never truly ended. CR got a little spawn hold in on every point. They experienced Team Falcons be their landlord and said, okay, we better set up a toll to use this road. Toronto had to pay at least an ultimate to get out their own crib. Crazy Raccoon may have accidentally cooked the most nefarious city skyline strategy ever seen. And once Toronto were on the move, Chorong started trolling his old pal, making sure that the world knew they weren't too chummy. Just 2 dudes chilling on opposite sides of a cage 5 feet apart because they're not gay. Someone must have been a little offended because he ran all the way to Chorong's spawn saying, "Where my hug at?" and immediately got whipped again. Someone is flabbergasted, looking around like he's on a prank show, but no, it really did happen twice. If Chorong didn't make this play, Toronto would have capped the map. Not only was he the touch, he was also the only ult available from Crazy Raccoon. Although Crazy Raccoon probably would have been fine regardless, they finished their offense with over 2 minutes to go, but you just never know. Maybe Toronto had a top secret break glass in case of emergency strat lined up, but because of Chorong, we'll never find out. In other news, when Coach Moon was asked about Heesang's performance against Toronto, all he had to say was the following: Heesang? No, he's the fucking GOAT. And I could not agree more. Bro was a demon, especially in the back half. He really needed a game like this after that quiet winners finals. And because all the finals are played on the same day, Crazy Raccoon had a ton to patch up with little to no time. If Grand Finals has more of this kind of Heesang, where he perfectly times his flank to take out Toronto's most important player during a final fight frenzy, they might have a chance. So this is it, the final showdown of OWCS Season 1. And who could have guessed? It's the two Korean teams in the end. The big dogs are putting it all on the line in a 1-to-4 series. We start off a couple fights into round 1 when some curious things happen to both Echo players. Heesang's about to finish a kill on Chio when Smurf drops the cage at the perfect time to barely save him. I don't think Chio's even aware of just how lucky he is. He didn't look over or nothing, bro thinks he just tanked it. Meanwhile, Stalker is hunting down Chorong with a duplicated Reaper. He turns the corner ready to spin on him, but Chorong got that break movement and he breaks Stalker's ankles when he comes out of the ult for the rest of his life. Stalker has to live with the fact that Chorong owns him. He pulled out the Breath of the Wild shield hop in Overwatch 2 Grand Finals. Although Stalker might not be too pressed about it because in the very next fight, he hit the cleanest Echo play of the tournament. He assassinated Heesang in front of everyone, waited for his wanted level to go down, then came back out for a second full sticky assassination. But wait, there's more, because he also finished the job on Lip. Except for that final kill, he pulled off a solo mission behind enemy lines to secure the first round win of the game. It's not like Crazy Raccoon messed this up either. Junbin's cage on the Chio is almost as perfect as you can get. This round was significantly better than anything Crazy Raccoon did up in the winners finals, but it still wasn't enough. And the Heesang that made an appearance against Toronto was not with us in this lobby. Maybe his cousin was here at the beginning of round 2, but after they won that first fight, Crazy Raccoon didn't come close to winning another, and Falcons went up 1-0. Map 2 sends us to Saravasa, and Hanbin comes in for Smurf. Why? So old man Smurf could go take a nap. That way he has energy if he needs to come in again. Both of them have basically the same playstyle of int in and find a valuable trade. This seems to be unique to Falcons, or at least they prioritize it more heavily than other teams. Just compare the bins in this first fight. Junbin is dialed in on Hanbin, maximizing his damage and healing output, whereas Hanbin shoots Junbin at first, but as soon as he runs it down, he's not considering him in the slightest. All he wants in this life is a good trade. Someone please bring him to a village. The reason I bring this up now, 50 minutes into the video, is because Hanbin is lagging behind everyone else in ult charge, and in this situation, Junbin's cage stops Fielder's bash from stunning Lip's Blossom, but Proper is vulnerable to Chorong's bash because Hanbin doesn't have his cage, and as a result, Crazy Raccoon win the 4-for-4 ult fight even though they don't have Ray. The best part about doing that Coach OC analysis cosplay is that you have some fights that you gotta whip out the abacus and start moving around the little number. I don't know how the fuck those work, I'll be honest. And other fights where Proper can just saunter into the backline and kill 3 because he is undoubtedly that guy. He was a problem, and you don't realize just how deep his Reaper bag is. He's down to whip out the Platinum, Wraithen, and Ult combo, but for a guy like him, it just works. But if average Joe tries that, he is never finding a game again. Another all-time classic he got on him is the Five Nights at Freddy's playstyle. If Proper turned the corner on me like that, I'd let the trumpets play. It's been a good run. Now, let's see Crazy Raccoon's bag. Look at the way half his ult did no damage because he used it outside the cage. The tastefulness to not get a kill with his special move even though the enemy could not run away. Oh my god. We even have a side angle. It feels like after every point in a map, Crazy Raccoon get more normal. There's been like 4 times in this matchup, in this tournament, where the first point is a genuine banger and then they fall off the turnip truck like Shu raid towards the point. But for anyone else on the team to use it, they would have to first walk through Falcon's Ray, and that's just not happening. And finally, it's 99-99 on the point. CR got ults in the back, but Junbin needs to touch, and he overshot that by a good 10 meters. Put him back in the wrecking wheel immediately. I feel for him, because it's every tank player's dream to have a real reason to go through that hole, and to see it miss like that brings a tear to my eye. On map 3, Crazy Raccoon had enough of Maga's malevolent malpractice, and they brought us to the Holy Land of Watchpoint Gibraltar. As God intended, Shu is on Ana, Lip is on Widow, Smurf is in, and Happy came in for proper. The first round was all about the Winston players. The Falcons bench must be mad comfortable, cause Smurf came out of his nap looking refreshed. In the beginning, he was the only player trying to get active. While he was jumping around having a jolly old time, the Tracers were playing footsie on point, and he sang was slowly but surely winning. So when Smurf's joy led him astray just one time, the entire point was gone. No recontest, no nothing. It took Happy a couple minutes to wake up, but I'm surprised he's up at all. After seeing what one map did for Smurf, I expected him and Majed to be trapped in a dream state, not goobing he sang out of recall. Other than that, there were some classic second point jib Ana activities, like Shu seeing Lip die right beside him and having no fear stepping into the exact same angle for a direct nade. But again, this round was monkey mayhem, and Junbin brought it home. He kidnapped Fielder on his doorstep, brought him across the map, and dropped his body off when the job was done. This was strictly business. He's not trying to disrespect the family. Despite Stalker's best efforts with a triple blink sticky, it wasn't enough, and Crazy Raccoon completed the map. The second round is where the real gaming begins, and Team Falcon's backline wasted no time. Fielder walked high for a bank shot nade on Plat, and Chio was already there with the follow-up. They really got that glass and water type synergy. This was not a set play. Look at how Chio's moving. Bro geeked out at the thought of it. It's too bad that Junbin wasn't gonna let that slide. Shu's parting nade let Chio get traded, and a no-break backline may as well be a free buffet. Bro ate them up, but the plays don't stop. Every fight has at least one guy doing something completely unreasonable. In this fight, there was no escape. He killed every single player he saw. Him saying be moving like he got that 0.02 second limitless void on him. He damn near started kicking his feet when he heard there was another player to pull up on. Fielder sacrificed himself to take out the honored Sang, but it came at the cost of making the 5k even more swag. Stalker tries to settle things down and whiffs his pulse so bad it almost hit Lip on a different level. Understandably, Lip was not pleased, so he locked onto Stalker's last known location and ew, oh my god. He got that aimbot accuracy with no correction needed because he got it perfect on the first try. After making it clear that you do not step to him, Lip grapples and immediately knew he fucked up. For a second, Happy was transported to the parabolic firing range off Lijiang Tower. At this point, there's only one push left, and Fielder starts it off with a huge nade onto both DPS. For a lot of teams, this would be wraps, but not Crazy Raccoon. First, Shu makes Stalker a victim for the second time this map. Bro has the highest montage per 10 in the lobby right now, just don't look at which side of the kill feed he's on. After packing him up, our heroes go their separate ways. Shu went back to his angle and got 3 shots off before Smurf was on top of him. And while that seems like a fast response time, he was much too late. While Chorong went to give Junbin all the help he could on point, which was not very much, because Smurf jumped on him and got the kill until actually, no he didn't. There was a moment where Chorong had a single point of health. Smurf must be a fan of Dexit because he had no intentions to continue the pursuit. His years of experience detected the trap. Junbin was ready to primal Fielder off cart as soon as Smurf chased for the kill. Not wanting to C9, Smurf thought he was letting the small fry go in order to save the whole meal. But in reality, Chorong was the Big Bang Burger and Smurf didn't have the guts to finish him off. Chorong sprinted at Fielder to take the duel, where he perfectly conserved his shield HP to block nade and took him out, bringing Crazy Raccoon to their first map win against Falcons in the tournament. Map 4 was King's Row, and we returned to the Mog Slog, where Proper mind-controlled Chio to bash at him. This guy continues to display that he has more tricks on Reaper than an entire dog show has combined. It's no wonder that Falcons full capped the map with 2 minutes remaining and lost only 3 fights total. It also helps that in the MAGA economy, Stalker is not a victim and is instead a prime suspect of multiple crimes. Your honors, if I may. He had the motive to get revenge on Crazy Raccoon for last map, the means through consistent aerial domination, and I believe the evidence I've gathered is irrefutable. The first thing I'd like to show you is this car crash between Heesang and Stalker. It looks narrowly avoided, but Heesang hit the U-turn back into it. You might be led to believe that it's his fault, but Stalker set it up. He was waiting for Heesang to show his face and smoke him. A 1-for-1 trade starting at 90 HP is always a complete win. This second incident is more of an opportunistic crime, cause Stalker had no clue what was happening when Heesang pulled up on him, but he still got off the Shimon of the century. Heesang actively knew about this duel at least 3 seconds before his opposition, and he still got put in a pack. I don't care who started it. If the last one was a car crash, this is vehicular manslaughter from Stalker. This whole duel is just constant human right violations on Heesang. Fuck it, write him up for that as well. Falcons were dominating so hard that they switched up the games and started playing MAGA Fortnite with Max. Why was he in over Junbin? I don't know. Maybe they're copying the Falcons nap strat, because in-game, there was no difference. Although pulling this off might be the most impressive thing a MAGA has done in this match. The balance, core strength, and teamwork that's necessary here is honestly breathtaking and inspiring. However, experiencing the high of MAGA Fortnite is dangerous. Proper was overcome with emotion that he wanted to share, and before he realized what he was doing, it was too late. He was already back in his spawn room. This free fight win set Crazy Raccoon on the path for success, capping second with a huge Reaper ult that Fielder couldn't stun thanks to Cage, while also stunning Proper out of his. They went into third point with 4 minutes on the clock, which is plenty of time to build all those ults again and go for a big push. But the big push never came to shove. In the final minute, Hanbin caught out their closest ult with Cage, living with someone always dreamt of. There is one fight left. Shu is 3% off Ray, and he's dead. He hustled back like a kid running after the bus directly into Proper, and he died again. Don't worry, third time's the charm, right guys? Guys? Hello? Where the team at? You can't be mad at you either. On each death, Falcons made it their #1 priority to execute him ISIS style. And with that, Falcons were on match point. So far against Crazy Raccoon, they had a 100% win rate in the MAGA mirror across 6 maps. What was their plan for map 5? Put Jumpin' back in that bitch, and on some 2018 XQC shit, go again. Unsurprisingly, Falcons took an early lead, but while they were trying to push past the checkpoint, Chio got curb stomped by Junbin and Rajaxed. Shout out Junbin for giving me that low-key inspiration for how I want to treat Jeff the Landshark every day. Falcons tried to salvage the fight, but in the end, they couldn't handle Shu's Ray. Now, Crazy Raccoon were going the other way with a considerable ult advantage, and he sneak found an opening pick onto Chio, then stopped Fielder from stealing his ride and killed him shortly after. This gave them the confidence to hold ults, and thanks to a donation from Proper, their economy was booming. Bro was so certain they had this locked up that he started accepting Cash App offers. Even with their stocks at an all-time high, Junbin wasn't satisfied, and he dropped Cage before Smurf ran to the bot, letting them reach the checkpoint before the fight began. Folks, this is a smart play. They saved bot AFK time if they won, and they still got the checkpoint if they lost. After taking out Smurf, things were looking good, but for reasons I cannot decipher, Heesang used dupe here. What was the concern? Did Proper request an equivalent refund on his ult? Like, huh? This turned the next fight from favored to Lip either has to hit an all-time Sneak Nation play or lose. And you're never gonna catch Falcons on a play like that. They are the CEO of the company. Lip took half a step and Proper already knew what was about to go down. Still, Crazy Raccoon had the lead with 4 minutes to go, and they got out both support ults. Compared to most of the series, they should be happier than the bottom plate in the cupboard when people come over. It took no time for Falcons to spin back for their lead. Smurf set up the stadium and gave Proper the countdown to 3, 2, 1, let it rip. Bro's looking like El Drago the way he stole all of Crazy Raccoon's momentum. To take his lead back, Proper shows Lip how a real sneak cell operates, hiding in plain sight and having Chorong drop on top of him like a Tetramino. From there, he walks down the back line. While Crazy Raccoon are fighting to not lose the lead, Proper's out here fighting to win the season. They are not the same. Like Proper was listening for a footstep in a war zone and Chorong didn't look out the window before he jumped through it. Falcons continue their push to 126 meters, and with a minute left on their season life, Crazy Raccoon tried to mount the 5-fight comeback. Heesang made it feel possible with another big win at this bridge. No one can answer his riddles 3. It's just too easy for a troll like him. All Crazy Raccoon had to work with was Junbin's Cage. He needed to make the play if he wanted a chance at victory, so he ran it down looking for something and got cage jaxed. It was a long shot in the first place, but that sealed the deal. Team Falcons are the 2024 OWCS champions. Proper finally won an S tier event, and Smurf retired at the top. With that, those are my best and worst plays of the DreamHack Stockholm OWCS 2024 finals. Have yourself a damn good one. Deuces.